So I welcome all of you to our second session on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Appearance of Lord Nrsimha. Yesterday we discussed how Prahlad Maharaj, when he influenced the schoolmates into devotional service, Hiranyakashipu got angry and he wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj. He rebuked Prahlad Maharaj in so many unkind, harsh words. And then he eventually challenged him about the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prahlad Maharaj, as a matter of fact, replied, he is everywhere and he is even in this pillar also. So Hiranyakashipu, being very proud, angry, he struck the pillar with his fist and was about to charge towards Prahlad to kill him with his own hands, although he happens to be his own son. So that's where we paused our discussion yesterday. So we'll continue our narration. Before going, however, yesterday we have, in the interest of time, did not discuss the many lessons what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So today we will briefly touch upon few of those lessons and then we will carry on. So we'll start with Mangalacharan prayers. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Vagishayasya Vadane Lakshmir Yasya Cha Vakshasi Yasyaste Hridayam Samvid Tasyaste Hridaye Samvid Tam Nrsimhamaham Bhaje Ekena Chakrama Parena Karena Sankham Anyena Sindhu Kanayam Avalambya Tishthan Vame Tarena Varada Bhaya Padma Chihnam Lakshmi Nrsimhamadehi Karavalambam Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Sarpatomukham Nrsimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityum Namamyaham Prahlada Narada Parashara Pundarika Vyasadi Bhagavata Pungava Vrindivasa Bhaktanurakta Paripalana Parijata Lakshmi Nrsimhamadehi Karavalambam Yontah Pravishya Mama Vacha Mima Prasuptam Sanjeevayathyakhila Shakti Dharam Sudhamna Anyam Chahasta Charanasravanatvagadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Mukam Karodi Vachalam Bangam Lankayate Girim Yatkrupadamaham Vande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So, a quick review. 7th canto is divided into two parts. Mainly the story of Prahlada and the second part is about Varnashram Dharma. In the story of Prahlad, there are 3 parts. One is a preface, which discusses the story of Jaya Vijaya, killing of Hiranyaksha and the torture of the citizens by Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu's austerities and his benedictions from Brahma and the birth of Prahlad. And then the second part deals with the science of devotional service as instructed by Prahlada. First part is Prahlad's devotion and his instructions to his schoolmates. and what actually Prahlad learned in the womb has been described. This part, what we are discussing, describes about the uh, appearance of Lord Nrsimha, the and the subsequently how Prahlad Maharaj pacifies Lord Nrsimha with his prayers, and then how he has been coronated. So this section deals with that three parts, and then further part describes about Varnashram Dharma. So we saw this summary yesterday. I'll not go. Okay. So in brief, this chapter is divided into few sections. The first section describes the talks between Prahlada and Hiranyakasipu. The second section describes the appearance of Lord Nrsimha, the description of the Lord's appearance, and the third section describes how Lord Nrsimha killed the demon Hiranyakasipu and his associates, and the fourth part describes how the demigods celebrate Lord Nrsimhadeva's victory, and the fifth and the final part describes how each of the demigods had praised Lord Nrsimhadev for his deed, uncommon, marvelous deed of killing the biggest of the asuras in the history of creation, Hiranyakasipu. So we have discussed this yesterday. So Hiranyakasipu, out of anger, rebuked his son. He as acting like an trampled serpent, but because his ego was hurt, and he got angry because his ego was being hurt, and Prahlad, on the contrary, being fixed in devotional service, appeared very peaceful, mild and gentle, and sense-controlled. He did not exhibit his anger. Instead, he folded his hands in front of his father out of respect, and he actually tried to plead him for taking up to devotional service. So, what can we learn from both the personalities' behavior? Hiranyakasipu is actually transgressing the etiquette of disrespecting a Mahabhagavata, Vaishnava. He was saying that all his attempts to kill him were rendered futile. So, however, out of his impudence and his attachment to material life, as well as his anger arising out of frustration of false ego, had compelled him to actually misbehave towards a highly authorized devotee as Prahlad Maharaj, and the reaction for this is one would be punished by the laws of nature. It is said in the scriptures that Ayushriyam Yasho Dharma Lokan Ashisha Evacha Hanti Shreyamsi Sarvani Humso Mahad Atikramaha. When one mistreats great souls, his life, his beauty, his power, his fame, his religion, the pious credits which are accrued by the following of one's religion, and his possessions and his good fortune, all are destroyed. So one should be very careful in dealing with the Mahabhagavatas, especially like the level of Prahlad Maharaj. Not only Mahabhagavatas, we should be respectful to each and every living entity. What to speak of the devotees? We should be very respectful to each and every living being, each and every part of the creation, because idam hi vishwan bhagavan ivetaro. So this creation is nothing but the one of the energies of the Supreme Lord. All the living entities are the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So if one is disrespecting any of them, that means we are somehow not accepting the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. So Hiranyakashipu said, "Hey Durvinita, hey Mandatman, hey Kulabedha Karadama, hey Stabdha, Machhasanadvruttam Neshye Tvad Adya Makshayam." Said Durvinita. He said, he called him ungentle. As we discussed yesterday, Du means Dukhalayam, Vi means Vivesha, and Nita means brought in. So Prahlad Maharaj was brought in especially to the material world to teach people how to get out of this material condition. And Manda Atman, he said, you are most unintelligent. But another meaning is, he is very, those people who are very bad or slow at self-realization, Prahlad Maharaj is a guide to all those people. And Kula Bhedakara Adhama is the lowest disruptor of the family. And that's what Hiranyakashipu said. And Prahlad Maharaj, and one another meaning is that Prahlad Maharaj, he made even the great personalities who established big families seem insignificant. Kula Bhedakara Adhama. He said, Stabdham, you are obstinate. One meaning of that is, a devotee does not care for the instruction of materialistic men or the asuras. Machhasana druttam, you are transgressing my sasana, my rule. Prahlad Maharaj was disobedient to anybody who is averse to devotional service. Even he happens to be his own father. Yamakshayam, I will send you to Yamakshayam Neshya, I will send you to the abode of Yama. So, another meaning is, Prahlad Maharaj would stop the repetition of birth and death of Hiranyakashipu because of his misdeeds. He said, all the planets will tremble because of fear of me. You appear to be Abhitavan. You are not being fearless. What is the source of your fearlessness? Prahlad replied, न केवलं मे भवतश्च राजन् सवै बलं बलीनां च परेषां परे वरे अमी स्थिरजङ्गमाये ब्रह्मादयो येन वशं प्रणीतः. Not only the source of my strength, but he is the source of your strength also. He is the Lord of all the non-moving and moving living entities. People falsely claim themselves to be proprietors of this material world. From the sense, the Lord is the master of the senses. He is the time factor. He is the intelligence of the intelligent. He is the controller of merge. He is the power of the powerful. And he is the creator, destroyer, and maintainer. You think you are that? No. So kindly give up your demoniac, envious mentality. There is nothing but your uncontrolled mind which is distinguishing between your friends and enemies. You are thinking that I am your enemy because I am transgressing your rule. It is because of your mental concoction that I am your enemy. It is because your ego has been hurt, and that's why, misguided by your mind, you are distinguishing between friends and enemies. So please stop that. So he's saying, Hiranyakashipu was trying to tell that I am the most powerful, but Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that all the strength, whatever you see, which in whatever glamour you see in this material world, it nothing but a portion of my splendor. And Hiranyakashipu was thinking that I am the master, but unless the Lord favors anyone, no one can independently become the master of anything in any position. And Hiranyakashipu was thinking that he will kill Prahlad Maharaj because he transgressed his orders. But Prahlad Maharaj was assured of the protection of the Lord because the Lord promises, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasyati. So unless one is able to fix one's mind at the lotus feet of the Lord, the mind control is impossible. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, you have to control your mind. Arjuna immediately replies to Krishna, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, mind is very flickering. Pramadi balavad dhrudam. Tasyaham nigraham manye vayor iva sudushkaram. Saying the mind is as strong as the wind and even more powerful. To control the mind is very difficult than to control the raging wind. How is it possible? Not possible. Then Krishna says, you have to follow the regulative principles of devotional service. Then you will be able to control it by practice. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grushyate. Even detachment from material objects is possible only by practice of devotional service. We create friends and enemies to the dictation of mind. It is we, that is the I, which creates the friend and enemy. But a devotee, he is a Samadarshi, he is a Pandita, he is an intellectual man. He will see everything with equal vision. He will see that all the living entities are nothing but the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. To understand this aspect of the Lord and His creation is the preliminary condition to enter into the kingdom of God. Pandita Samadarshana. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate para. If you want to get the bhakti or the devotional service of the Supreme Lord and thereby go back home, back to Godhead, this vision of equanimity is very much imperative. And he goes on further that Prahlad Maharaj is saying, in the former times, many people said that I am the Lord of the three worlds. Mike Tyson said, I am God. He declared in the ring that he can conquer anyone. He was thinking that there were many quotes. He was doing it before. Later he became a good person. But before he said that it is foolish even to talk about to someone. It is first you have to beat them up. He was so much proud of his strength. But material nature has shown the ugly face. He was affected by Parkinson's disease. And then when he was actually asked to light the lamp in the Olympics to commence the celebrations, he was unable to even hold the light properly. That's how the Lord proves to those people who are proud of their strength and everything that actually they are not the controllers, that it is He within us who is supplying the strength to act and actually uh, do anything, even to our daily chores in this material world. So the real control, the controllership is about controlling our own senses and the mind. If someone has controlled these things, he is called to be called as a king or a maharaja. So the sadhus, they don't focus on conquering the kingdoms, but they focus their attention inward in controlling their senses. And when they control the senses, then the whole world is under the control, under their control. So they have conquered the ignorance, which is the primal element of this universe. So Hiranyakashipu was saying, you minimize my value and you think that you are better than me in controlling the senses. I have done so many thousands of years of tapasya. You think that you are better than me. You are being over intelligent. Therefore, you want to die at my hands. So, other than you are thinking that you are saying that there is Vishnu is more powerful than me, and he is the controller of everyone. Where is he? Is he in this pillar? So, because you are speaking nonsense, let me now see how your God will come and protect you. So, as we discussed, the uncontrolled mind and the senses are the only enemies. And then Prahlad Maharaj endeavored to drive some good sense into his father's mind became futile because good instructions to fool will only make him angry, more angry. And Hiranyakashipu is a typical demon. Why is he described as being Sri? This was one of the questions asked in the previous sessions by one of the devotees. The answer is he actually had Shri, the fortune, in the form of Prahlad Maharaj in his own form, son and home as his own son. So because of that fortune, he will get the greatest fortune of attaining salvation and return back to Godhead. Where the connection to Prahlad Maharaj, which is considered to be the fortune, he is fortunate in this aspect. That's why he is addressed as Sri. And then, why is Prahlad Maharaj is not able to, why is Hiranyakashipu not able to see the Lord everywhere, and why is Prahlad Maharaj is able to, is because the qualification to see the Lord is not the material eyes, but the eyes, the spiritual eyes, which are anointed with the salve, the ointment of love, Premanjana Chrita. And the devotee can see the Lord everywhere and not the demon. So in this way, he actually rebuked Prahlad Maharaj and he stuck the column with the pillar with his hands, and then from the pillar emerged a fearful sound which appeared to be the cracking of the universe. And then with that sound, even the gods in the heaven thought that our planets are getting destroyed now. And then when Hiranyakashipu heard that sound, which he never had heard before, the other leaders of the palace were also perturbed, and both of them could not find the origin of the sound in that assembly. So the Lord assures of the protection of a devotee, and so the Lord is telling that don't worry. You pointed out that I will be present in this pillar, and it was actually said, the acharyas are telling, when Hiranyakasipu was asking Prahlada, is your God everywhere? So Nrsimhadev was thinking, where will Hiranyakasipu point out to us, and where will Prahlad say that the Lord is there? So the Lord was thinking that where I should put myself so that I have to make the words of my devotee true. So finally, when Prahlad said that he is in the pillar, then Lord came and made his presence into the pillar. So today's narration is mostly of a story type. So I will go through as fast as possible. So we will recite this verse today. Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshvakhileshu chatmana adrusyatadyadbhutarupamudvahan stambhe sabhayam na mrigam na manusham. Satyam vidhatum, to prove the words true of whom? Nijabhritya bhashitam, the words given by his own devotee. Vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanaha, the Lord is pervaded everywhere within his creation, in the all the living entities. Akhileshu bhuteshu cha atmanaha, as a super soul. Prabhupada writes, he is present even in the pillar. Adrishyata atyadbhuta rupam udvahan. Adrishyata, he appeared. How? Ati adbhuta rupam udvahan. Udvahan means he took. He took a very wonderful form. Ati adbhuta rupam. And where did he appear? Stambhe. He appeared in the pillar of the assembly hall. Stambhe sabhaya. And what is that form? Na mrugam, na manusham. It is neither a man nor a lion. Thus, the Lord appeared in the assembly hall from the pillar with a wonderful form, just to prove the words of his own devotee true. So, Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. Then a question may arise, who is that devotee? Whose words is the Lord trying to prove true? Prahlad said, he is also in this pillar. Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakasipu asked, where is your Lord? Is he in this pillar? Prahlad said, yes, he is in this pillar. Indu galadanduled sandeham valadu chakri sarvopagatandu. He said, there is, in Telugu, there is a recitation from Potana Bhagavatam. He said, Indu galadu andu ledanu sandeham valadu. Endendu vetikina andande galadu. Chakri sarvopagatandu. Saying, wherever you search for him, he will be present there. He is there in this pillar also, for your information. And who is the other devotee? Brahma. So, Brahma had promised that he will not be killed by any being of his creation, and he will not be killed by any person who is a human being or an animal or he will not be killed by inside or outside of the house. He will not be killed within the day or within the night. So many conditions have been put. He will not be killed by any weapon created by the weapon. He will not be killed. So many things he has asked. So Brahma said Tathastu. So to prove the words of his devotee Brahma true, the Lord appeared in this form. And Narada said to Indra, you will not be able to kill this child. This child is invincible. How can Hiranyakasipu kill that? It will not be possible. When Kayadu was being dragged to kill the child in her womb as soon as she delivers the baby, so Narada said, you will not be able to kill this child. To prove the words of Narada true, the Lord appeared. And then finally, Hiranyakasipu himself said that perhaps I will die because of my enmity towards Prahlad. In the previous chapters, when his attempts were made futile, when he started introspecting what to do now, he made these words that perhaps he may be killed by his enmity towards his own son. So to make these words true, the Lord appeared in this form. Sasatvaменam parito vipasyam stambhasya madhyadanu nirjihanam nayam mrigo napi naro vichitram aho kimetan mrigendra rupam. Hiranyakasipu, he was contemplating. He looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful sound which could not be ascertained to be a man or a lion, which emerged from that pillar. He was amazed. What is this creature? Is it a man or a lion? Mrigendra Rupam. He was struck with amazement. Hiranyakasipu was thinking, I have made my insurance policy with so many clauses that I will not be killed by this, that, now or never, like that. But he did not have an account of the Supreme Lord's omnipotence. The demons cannot conceive of the Supreme Lord's omnipotence. How an animal and a human being can be combined, they cannot think of. But the Lord's omnipotence is multifold. The Lord's potency is multifold. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Sruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. It is Swabhaviki of the Lord. The Lord has many potencies which are there in him naturally. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva. There are multifold, multifarious energies of the Supreme Lord. They are Swabhaviki to him. Then they are all powerful. Swabhaviki, they are filled with knowledge. Jnana, Bala, and they are potent to act also. That is the Supreme Lord's omnipotence. So the demons cannot understand the Lord's omnipotence. The Lord appeared just to prove the words of his devotee true. Is already there. We discuss this thing. Now, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is throwing some insights into the form of the Lord which appeared before him. Nrsimhadeva appeared before Hiranyakasipu while he was considering that extremely terrible form. Okay, so we will discuss this after we discuss the verses from 19 to 22. मीमांसमानस्य समुत्थितोऽग्रतो नृसिंहरूपस्तदलं भयानकं प्रतप्तचामीकरचण्डलोचनं स्फुरत्सटाकेसरजृम्बितात्मताननं स्फुरत्सटाकेसरजृम्बिताननं करालदंष्ट्रं करवालचञ्चला क्षुरान्तजिह्वं भ्रुकुटीमुखोल्बणं स्तब्धोत्वकर्णं गिरिकन्धराद्भुत यात्तास्य नासं हनुभेदभीषणम्. Hiranyakashipu is studying the form of the Lord. He is trying to decide who the form of Lord Nrsimhadeva before him is. His features are extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, and his razor-sharp tongue, which moved like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and the gaping mouth appeared like caves of the mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick. His chest is very broad. His waist is very thin, and his hairs on the body are as white as the moon rays. His arms, which resemble flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he is killing the demons, rogues, and atheists, which is Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Shankha, Chakra, and Gada, and Padma. And other natural words like weapons like sword and shield, etc. So this is the form of the Lord Nrsimhadeva appeared before Hiranyakashipu. He has his eyebrows are very fearsome. His eyes are very reddish. His ears are very erect. His mouth is like a mountain. His jaws are parted and spread throughout the face. And his nostrils are big like mountain caves. His shining mane is like with the hairs is white as the moon, and he is holding Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and other weapons. And his teeth are very fearsome. They are like thunderbolts, and his jihva, his tongue, is like a dueling sword. So in this fearful form, Lord Nrsimhadeva appeared in front of Hiranyakashipu as the Ugra Narasimha, very angry. Chandramsu Gauraischuritam Tanuruhair Vishwakbhujani Kasatam Nakhayudham Durasadam Sarva Nijetarayudha Praveka Vidra Vita Daitya Danavam. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who this form is standing before him. It was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled the molten gold, and his shining mane. When a lion becomes angry, the hairs stand on end, the mane, it appears like flying. So it is like very fearful picture in front of us. He has his deadly teeth and razor sharp tongue like a sword. And his ears are erect and motionless, and his nostrils and mouth are gaping, and his chest is very broad, his waist is very thin, and the arms are carrying all the weapons. So we will go back and see the description of the form by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is supposed to be actually. The words Chamikara means gold and Satakesara means his mane. Karavara, it's a knife. And he is fierce. Why? Because of his fearsome frown with his eyebrows. He is frightening because the mouth is very open. The jaws are open. So that's why he appeared even more fearful. And his neck is very short and it is very thick, and his chest is very broad and his waist is very thin. The hair on the mane was like moonlight. And it is said that he had hundreds of arms in all the directions. And his nails are like weapons, actually. It is said that actually when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, his body was touching like a sky. He is that big. And in front of him, Hiranyakasipu actually appeared very insignificant. And his normal weapons were Gada and Chakra. And he had other weapons like the thunderbolt. And seeing this, all the demons fled. Prayena meyam harino rumaina vadasmruto nena samudyatena kim evam bruvam svabhyapadat gadayudho nadan nrisimham pratidaitya kunjara. He Hiranyakasipu murmured to himself, the mystic Vishnu, with his great powers, he planned to kill me in this way. He appeared like this half man, half lion form. And what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight me? Thinking this like this, he took his gada and charged towards the Lord to fight with him. Just like an elephant goes and attacks a lion. But we know that when an elephant and a lion fight with each other, generally the lion is more victorious. Alakshitognav patitah patangamo yatha nrisimhaujasi sosurastada natadvichitram khalu satvadhamani swatejasayo purapi battamah swatejasayo nupurapi battamah. Patanga agnav patitah. Just as the small insects, they forcefully fly into the fire and they become ash. So similarly, Hiranyakasipu is entering into the Lord, means he is trying to attack the Lord. And the Lord, how is he appearing? The Lord is very effulgent with all his splendor. And when the Hiranyakasipu went on to attack the Lord, who is full of effulgence, it is as if Hiranyakasipu disappeared within the effulgence of the Lord and he became invisible. So this is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in the pure goodness. And formerly during the creation, when he entered the dark universe, he made it effulgent by his spiritual presence. He illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. So Hiranyakashipu is charging toward Nrsimhadev. Is towards the right. Tato abhipadya abhayahan. Tato abhipadyabhyayanan mahasuro rusha nrisimham gadayoruvegaya tam vikramantam sagadam gadadharo mahoragam tarkshasuto yathagrahi. Thereafter, Hiranyakashipu, who is very extremely angry, swiftly he attacked Lord Nrsimhadev with his club and he began to beat him with his club. The Lord, however, captured the demon effortlessly, like a Garuda, he will capture a great snake. Satasya hasto kalitas tatasuro vikridato yatvat ahir garutmataha asadhamanyanta hrita utkashomara ghanachada bharata sarvadhishnapaha. But this happened for some time, but the Lord has actually given a chance for Hiranyakashipu to escape from his hands. So as soon as the Hiranyakashipu was captured, the gods were watching, the demigods were watching from the heavens, from the clouds, what is happening now. So as soon as the Lord captured, the demigods became very happy. Now he is captured, the Lord will take care of him now. But as soon as the Lord gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his from his hands, so then just as Garuda sometimes when he plays with snakes, he lets the snake go off from his mouth. So similarly, the Lord gave a chance for Hiranyakashipu to slip, and then the demigods who are watching from the clouds, they became afraid. What if this person is actually able to manage to escape from the Lord's hand and is already angry with us? Now if he knows that we are siding Lord Vishnu, he will take care of us after. If Vishnu is unsuccessful in killing him, then this demon will surely kill us. So they became very fearful and they did not consider it very good. They became very caught up. तम्मन्यमानो निजवीर्य संकितं यद्धस्तमुक्तो नृहरिं महासुरः पुनस्तमस आसज्जत खड्ग चर्मणि प्रगृह्य वेगेन गतश्रमोन्मृधे. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands, he falsely thought, see, I am so powerful. This Lord Vishnu thinks that he is so powerful that he can capture me. See how I managed to slip from his hands. Now I will take care of him. And he was thinking the Lord is afraid of his prowess. He tried to capture me, but he couldn't retain me. Therefore, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Tamsyena vegam satachandravakmabhis charantam achhidram uparyatho hari krutvatahasam kharamutsvanolbanam nimilitaksham jagrihe mahajavaha. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, who is extremely strong and powerful, again captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with the sword and shield. And this time he left no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, just as a hawk, it will very swiftly capture its prey. just as the hawk, which will swiftly capture its prey, Hiranyakashipu was caught swiftly by Lord Nrsingadev. And Hiranyakashipu tried to move sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed because of the fear of Lord Nrsingadev's laughter. विश्वस्फुरन्तं ग्रहणातुरं हरिर्व्यालो यथा कुं पुलिशा व्यालो यथा कुं पुलिशाक्षतत्वचं द्वारी उरुमपा. Sorry, this is little tough. विश्वस्फुरन्तं ग्रहणातुरं हरिर्व्यालो यथा कुं पुलिशाक्षतत्वचं द्वार्युरुमापत्य ददारलीलया नखैर्यथा हिं गरुडो महाविशम्. Just as a snake is captured by Garuda, Lord Nrsingadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who was formerly even not able to be pierced by the Vajra of Indra, the thunderbolt of Indra. And as the Hiranyakashipu tried to move his limbs here and there all around, very much afflicted because of being captured, Nrsingadev placed the demon on his lap. Now the Lord thought, my play is over now. Let me kill him now. Support him. He supported Hiranyakashipu on his thighs, and he sat in the doorway, not inside the house, not outside the house. He exactly sat in the doorway at the doorstep of the house, which is considered neither inside nor outside of the assembly hall, and he very easily tore the demon into pieces with the nails of his hands. He did not use any weapons he was carrying. With his nails, because Hiranyakashipu told that I should not be killed by any weapon. Now, the Lord used his nails as his weapons. Shri Nrsingadev Bhagwan ki jai. Samrambha dushpreksha karalalochano vyaptananantam vilihan sajihvaya asriklavat lavak तारुणक्ष केशराननो यथांत्र माली द्विपहत्यया हरिः. When the demon was pierced within his abdomen, the blood gushed from his body and it sprinkled all over the body of the Lord. On his eyes, his mane was drenched with the blood of Hiranyakashipu, and the Lord's eyes were full of anger and were very fierce. It was impossible to look at the Lord's face. Dushpreksha. And as a lion, it will taste the blood of the prey. So the Lord was licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue of the blood emerged from Hiranyakashipu, and he took out the intestines from the body of Hiranyakashipu, from the abdomen of Hiranyakashipu, and he garlanded himself. And he was so fierce that his devotee was tortured. He was trampled under the legs of big gigantic elephants, Diggaja, and he was thrown from the hilltops. He was being attacked by sharp weapons. He was put in boiling oil. He was given poison, what not. He was burnt in fire. So the Lord was thinking, my devotee is tortured so much, so he wants to take out the intestines, and he garlanded himself. just like a lion when he hits on the kumbhasthala of the elephant, he emerges so victorious. So the Lord is very angry at Hiranyakashipu now. Nakhankuropatitahritsaroruham visrujya tasyana charan udayudhan ahan samastan nakhasat sastrapanibhir dordandayudhonupathan sahasrasaha. Now his associates, they are thinking, now our master is killed, we have to somehow do something, so they attack the Lord. But the Lord has, it is described that the Lord has many thousands of hands, many hands, and with his hands he uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and he threw him aside, and he turned towards them, the soldiers who were trying to attack him. They came in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons, but merely with his ends of his fingernails, the edges of his nails, he just killed all of them. Shatavadhuta jaladha parapatan grahasya tadrishti vimushta rocisha ambodhaya swasahata vichukshubhur nirrada bhita digibha vichukrushuhu. The hairs on the head of Narsingadev shook the clouds and they scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. And because of the roar, all the elephants began to cry in fear. And what else? Jaustat shatokshipta vimana sankula protsarpatakshama padabhipidita shailasama samutteturamushyaramhasa tattejasakham kakubho na rejire. The airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary system by what? By the hairs of Nrsingadev. His body is so big that it was touching the clouds. The airplanes were thrown into outer space by the feet, the Ramhasa, the force of Lord Nrsimha. Because of the pressure of the Lord's feet, the earth was appearing that it will get slipped from the balance, from its position in the orbit, and the hills and mountains sprang up due to the intolerable force. Tsunamis came out, and because of the Lord's effulgence, both the sky and all the 10 directions appear to actually diminish in their illumination, natural illumination. Tatasabhayam upavishtamuttame nrupasane sambhrita tejasam vibhum alakshitadvairatham atyamaršanam prachandavaktram navabhajakaschana. Manifesting his full effulgence and fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, he became being very angry, and he is finding no one to oppose him, his power and opulence. Now he sat down in the assembly hall on the great excellent throne of the king. Now he is Hiranyakashipu was declaring himself to be the Lord of the three worlds. Now Lord sat on that throne to indicate that I am the Lord, I am the master. And because of the fear and obedience, no one could even come near him to challenge his authority or to serve him directly. He appeared so fearful. So this is how the Lord sat on the throne after killing the demons and the Hiranyakashipu, their king. Nishamya lokatrayamastakaಜ್ವರಂ ತಮಾದಿದೈತ್ಯಂ ಹರಿಣಾಹತಂ ವೃಧೆ ಪ್ರಹರ್ಷ ವೇಗೋತ್ಕಲಿತಾನನ ಮುಹು ಪ್ರಸೂನ ವರ್ಷೈರ್ವವೃಷುಃ ಸುರಸ್ತ್ರಿಯಃ. Now the demigods became happy. So the Hiranyakashipu is like a fever for the three worlds. Now, because he was wiped off, the wives of the demigods, they began to shower flowers with their personal hands on the body of Hiranyakashipu. The Lord has been personally killed by the hands. Sorry, the Lord has personally killed Hiranyakashipu by his hands. And the wives of the demigods, they showered flowers like rain. The celebrations are continuing. Tada vimanavalivirnavasthalam vidrikshatam sankulamasanakhinam duranaka dundhubayo jagbhire gandharva mukhya nandrutir jagustriyah. At that time, the airplanes of the gods, the demigods, who desired to see the uncommon activities of the Lord, they were overcrowded within the sky. They were trying to peep, to catch a glimpse of what is happening here. And the demigods began to celebrate by beating the kettle drums and drums. And upon hearing that music, the apsaras began to dance within the sky. With the Gandharva women began to dance, while the Gandharvas, the apsaras began to dance, while the Gandharvas began to sing sweetly. So we will end our discussion today with this, and tomorrow we will see a few lessons from this. Mostly it is a description of the Lord's form. So tomorrow we will continue the prayers offered by the demigod, and then we will finish this chapter. At this time, if there are any questions,
Prabhuji, please show verse 21.
Many slides have been shown, Prabhuji. You have skipped after 7.8.16. How to understand that slide?
7.8.16.
After that, how to understand?
I didn't. You are not
You
able
have
to see
skipped
the
many things. You
presentation.
have skipped very fast. We are not able to read it at all. You should show that, and then you tell me it will be easy to understand, to read it.
No.
One line you're putting, and then you're skipping that at the end. At the end, we are not really reading the last 4 lines. Not able to read the last 4 lines of most of the slides. Wherever there is how to infer, how to understand all those things.
You want the slides to. You want to read the slides.
No, while you're telling, if we read it, we remember better, na? That's why. While we're telling, when the slides are focused, when you're telling, if you read it and we listen it, then the concentration is more better.
Yes,
That's why
Prabhu.
I
I have one small suggestion, Prabhu, in this regard.
Yes.
Prabhu, the whatever content is present in the slide now, the
Yes.
same is available even in Veda base. We can post the link here to 7th canto. You can read all the verses, and in fact, in the slide we just present a few a few very prominent points only. All the points in purports will be covered in the. All the points which are relevant will be covered in the purport, Prabhu. You can refer to the purport actually.
Right, Prabhuji, but these are the important things. We can remember that. That's why I wanted
No.
to
Everything is covered in the purport, Prabhu. Everything is covered in the purport. Kranti Prabhu, can you please post Veda-based link here to 7th canto, 8th chapter? You can study that.
Yes,
because
Prabhu.
all the slides also are prepared from that only, Prabhu, actually.
there is nothing which is different from which is there in the Bhagavatam. Everything here is taken from the Bhagavatam. We have just maybe we have paraphrased, or sometimes to make the line shorter, or most of the times it is as it is.
Yes, Prabhu. In fact, the purports in the purports you'll find all the points, Prabhu, related to this.
Yeah.
Because we
So-
are also making from Prabhupada's purports only. So I would suggest that all devotees, in fact, we have requested even during the very first phase of this program also, that we request all devotees to please purchase a Bhagavatam set and read Srila Prabhupada's purports after you attend this class, so that it will be much more clear.
Prabhuji, one more thing I want to ask.
Yes, Prabhu.
Regarding yesterday's questions and answers quiz, that the place will become more holier. Is it there in the purport, that point?
Kranti
See,
Prabhu.
I will
The
answer.
place will become more holier. One of the question was there.
Prabhu, maybe we can take that discussion in the chat, Prabhu, because people will get deviated in these discussions. But however, it was there in the part of presentation yesterday. Shamsundar Prabhu, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I want to add. See, Prabhuji, when we are discussing Bhagavatam, we will cite references from within the purport and from our memory. So most of the times when we are speaking on Bhagavatam, it is not possible to include everything on the slide. So whatever verses I have quoted yesterday or today or henceforth, sometimes they will come out of recollection from the memory. It will not be possible to put everything on the slide.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Shamsundar Prabhu, there is one question in the chat window.
Yeah.
Yeah, why Prahlad was not frightened, sad and upset on the ghastly death of his father in front of him? It was quite frightening, and was he not sad?
Where is it? We heard that Prahlad, no, what is it? Prahlad was not afraid, sad and upset on the ghastly death of his father in front of him. It was quite frightening and he was not sad. Prahlad actually is on a very different plane than us. He was actually self-realized from right within the womb. So as a on a father and a son relationship, he already requested his father to take up the devotional service of the Lord. In fact, you are saying that Prahlad is not sad at his father's death, but what about Hiranyakashipu? The father was trying to kill his son in so many ways. Now, Prahlad did not even retaliate. What to speak of talking anything, he did not do verbally or mentally also. And Prahlad was thinking not in terms of material reality. He was sure that Lord is the supreme father of all the living entities and he is the well-wisher of everyone. The Lord's action is glorious always, whether it be caring for or whether it is killing. So Lord is always glorious. So if you go further into the narration, when Lord Nrsimhadev asks about what benediction you want, Prahlad, Prahlad was actually not ready to take any benediction. He said he does not want to do any business with the Lord. He wants to be satisfied by his devotional service to the Lord only. But the Lord insisted. You know what Prahlad asked? He asked, let my father be delivered. So the devotee, he cares for the eternal well-being of a particular living entity. He does not focus just on the immediate source of happiness or distress. So this is one way of saying at it. On a material level, he was tortured more than his father. He was tortured by his father himself, but he did not retaliate. But when he was killed, he understood that it is supposed to be his destiny, and actually it is for his own benefit. So it is not that he is rejoicing his father's death in a material way, but he is rejoicing the victory of the Supreme Lord. That's why he is garlanding. It is not that he is not being sad or sadistic like that. Does that answer your question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I have a question. It is said no that the fearful form of Narasimhadev, even Lakshmi Devi was scared, no?
Mhm.
Actually, Lakshmi Devi is very great devotee of the Lord. She is eternal consort of the Lord. Then, and Prahlad Maharaj is also a devotee. Both are devotees. But why did Lakshmi Devi get scared of Narasimhadev but not Prahlad Maharaj?
See, there can for a technical reference, I will take this. I will study some of the acharyas what they have to say on this. I am yet to do that. But on a general level, sometimes if the husband is angry, will the wife go near him? No, right?
No,
She will avoid.
she would avoid, but getting scared. She's Lakshmi Devi, no, Prabhuji.
She is not. See, sometimes to enhance the rasa, the mellow of the pastime, the Lord and his devotees play certain roles in different moods. So we also, it is also said that in some other kalpa, Lord Lakshmi Devi was able to pacify the Supreme Lord. So in this narration, Prahlad is taken as the hero of the story. So so even Lakshmi was afraid to go near her husband. In fact, the narration says that she never saw such a fearsome form of the Lord. So she was not able to actually, comprehend that form and how he became so fearful. So to some extent, if it can satisfy you, and then we'll take it.
Prabhuji, you said no that Lakshmi Devi never saw that form. Then even Prahlad Maharaj did not see, no? He was.
Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj did not see.
Then why is it that Lakshmi Devi, even though both did not see, one was scared and other was very devoted?
It is up to the individual's mood of that particular devotee. So Prahlad is actually was seeing the Lord as his protector. So Hiranyakasipu was trying to kill him, and Lord appeared in that form to protect him. So Prahlad was assured of the protection of Dana, the Lord, from his father, who is a demon. So he is not afraid.
Prabhuji, so it was also said no that Prahlad Maharaj, he was not a devotee in the previous life, but he did Narsimha puja, or he cleaned the temple. Because of that, he was born such a great devotee. But Lakshmi Devi is eternal. She is always
Always?
with Vishnu, no?
Yes.
Actually, it should be that Lakshmi Devi should not get scared, but Prahlad Maharaj, who is new, he should actually be
Correct.
frightened.
Correct. See, as we said before, to enhance the pastime, sometimes different devotees take up different roles. In this play, Prahlad Maharaj is the hero, so he would pacify the Lord with his prayers. So Prahlad is able to go near the Lord, and Lakshmi Devi is afraid. So see, the idea behind the narration is a devotee is the very nearest and dearmost to the Lord, not the materialistic person. So, and one more lesson is the Lord can go to any extent to protect his devotee. That is the idea behind the narration.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, can you please show me once verse 21?
Yes. And little clarification from your end. From after 16th verse, were you all able to see the screen and see the slides? I just got
Yes,
confused.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. I just thought maybe because of some technical difficulty or not able to see the screen and see the slides. Yeah. Just a second. Verse number 20.
21, 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, actually this verses 19 to 22 now, they
Yes.
are the description of the form of the Supreme Lord. So one verse got overlapped here.
Okay. Okay.
So
So,
this is not there. Just let me check here. Sorry. Yeah. So verse number 21, with this 19, 20, 21, they got mixed actually. Let me check if I have skipped here. Yeah. When I was copying from the Veda base yesterday, when I was adjusting the pictures, so some of the verses got clipped. Let me check. Okay, I have the book here. Yeah, so actually the verse number 19, it appeared with 2 lines in the book, and in some other places it appeared with 4 lines. So this Mimamsava, this verse, Mimamsamanasya Samuthito Grato, this is verse number 19, and these 2 lines and these 2 lines are 20, and 21 has another Divisprisatayam. I think it got clipped. I am sorry for that. I will put it in the future slides. Okay.
Prabhuji, one more after 18th verse points to infer, Prabhuji.
Yes, please tell.
After 18th verse points to infer.
Okay.
I think 34th slide here. 34 number. Yes, Prabhuji.
This is 18th. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. This one.
So this was talking about the Supreme Lord's omnipotence. I think see a few of the points were common to the purports here. So I have pasted them, and in the future slides we can remove this, especially the Lord encouraging the Prahlad that I am here, and why he is addressed as Sri. These are common to few of the purports.
Prabhuji, one doubt, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
As God knows that Hiranyakashipu is a demon, even he does tapasya also. Why should Lord Brahma give him boons those are very high and severe boons, no, Prabhuji, that I should not be killed by any
Correct.
weapon, I should not be killed by man or animal. Those all things. Why God has to give? Is it that from this type of pastime we will all learn from that, or is there any other reason?
Actually, the demigods, even to the extent of Brahma, they are bound to give the benedictions when someone does some meritorious deeds. It is Vishnu who can decide whether to give or not. So that's why it is very difficult to please Lord Vishnu. And Shiva is Ashutosh. He is very pleased easily. He will give the benedictions anyway. And Lord Brahma, he is actually bound to give the benedictions. And sometimes even the knowing that the demons would ask for immortality, many times he tries to evade the same thing. But the demons want to play more clever, and they would ask some benedictions. But in one sentence, what we can say is like he is actually, although knowing that it will be detrimental, he is forced to give.
Okay, Prabhuji. And
And if you see in in the similar note, if you see Ravana, when he performed tapasya along with his brother Kumbhakarna and also Vibhishana and Surpanaka, so Ravana first asked for immortality, right? So the Lord Brahma said that immortality is not in my hands. Hmm?
okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
But even without asking, Vibhishan was given, he said that you will be Chiranjeeva. It is as good as immortality.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Vibhishan is still living.
Yes.
He will live for many kalpa, much
Yes.
more time.
Yes, Prabhuji. And yesterday in one of the lectures I was listening, Prabhuji, that God will immediately give the material desires. He will fulfill the material desires, and it is very difficult for him to accept somebody as a devotee, because if once he accepts as a devotee, he will become a servant of that devotee.
Yes.
So anything you want to throw light on this?
Yeah, it is true. Whenever the devotee is always wanting to be the servant of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord is always wanting to serve the devotee. So there is a tight competition between the two. So, when- so actually, as you said rightly, when the Lord sees any devotee, he will think that how can I please him? So when the Lord tries to please someone, there is no limit, because he is Ananta, he is limitless. So when he tries to please someone, it is limitless. So, and he would surrender to that devotee limitlessly. So and to get to that position, so the Lord takes care that he is tested thoroughly. Only then he will give you everything. He may give you wealth, opulence, fame, power, everything he will give, but not devotion. Because devotion, if he gives, he will become the servant.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna Prabhuji, I have one more question.
Hmm.
Yes, Prahlad Maharaj became devotee just by cleaning Narasimhadev's temple, no? Then why is it that even after performing devotional service for many, many births, one does not reach the Lord?
And not Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur talks about a story of a marriage party. So the marriage party was supposed to, it was the groom's party are going to the bride's place to get married. So in Bengal, Ganges is there in many places. So they have to cross the river. So they asked the boatman and they hired him. The boatman said that, oh yes, I will take you. You just sleep peacefully. By the time the sun rises, you will be in the bride's place. So all night the boatman was rowing the boat very tiringly. He is not sleeping. He was doing so much effort, and they were thinking that they fell asleep, fast asleep. When they woke up in the morning, they found that they are in the same place. So when they saw the root cause, he actually forgot to pull out the anchor. So the anchor is in attachment to sense gratification. The anchor is in obstinacy, to obstinate attachment to the ego. So these 6 anarthas are the anchors which will actually keep us bound to this world. So this is, even though we may be doing so much of effort in devotional service, if we are not focusing on giving up the mentality of enjoyership, giving up the mentality of lording it over the material nature, the ego, so it's like an anchorage, it's like a knot in the heart. So that's why Bhagavatam is considered to be Paramahamsa Samhita. Vidyate hridaya grandhi chidyante sarva samsaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishta eva atmani ishvare. Second canto Bhagavatam says Vidyate hridaya grandhi. The effect of reading Bhagavatam, it will Vidyate, it will pierce the ignorance in the heart. It will make a big hole in that. And chidyate vidyate hridaya grandhi, and it will cut the knot of attachment. Chidyate kshiyante cha asya karmani. It will remove, it will wipe out, it will erase the karma of the living entity. Then what is the effect? Effect is drishta eva atmani ishvare. So one will be able to see the presence of the Supreme Lord within the heart. So this is the effect of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So if one wants to get benefited, he has to take up the devotional service, and at the same time one has to start applying the mood of devotional service through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from the right source and authorities.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Prabhuji, one more question. I've heard people asking, why is it that we find Lord Shiva's temples everywhere, but we don't find Krishna's temples? We find at least Narayana's temples, but we don't find Krishna's.
I did not think in this way, but to my opinion and my experience, I have seen Krishna's temples also, at least in Bharat Desh, everywhere. In fact, Krishna has become more famous after His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has started his mission. But if you ask from another angle, why there are less devotees of Krishna than the devotees of other gods, is because the people in general are addicted to material comforts and material benedictions. So they will approach the gods, the demigods, who will give such kind of benedictions in easier way, without having to surrender their mentality of sense gratification. If you come to Vishnu, he will say that, oh, this is a problem with you. The root cause of your problem is not this, what you are immediately asking for. The root cause of your problem is sense gratification. Give up sense gratification. And when we give up the mentality to Lord over, then the Lord will give all the enjoyment for the senses. So that is little difficult to deal with Vishnu. That's why people will not come to Vishnu. They will go to
And Prabhuji, but some devotees of Lord Shiva, they don't know that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they do sincere devotion to Lord Shiva. No, what will happen to those devotees?
Actually, if one is approaching Lord Shiva with a very clean intention, Lord Shiva, being a Parama Vaishnava, he will direct him to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. In fact, Lord Shiva has his own sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, which teaches devotional service, and Vaishnavanam Yatha Sambhu. So he is the prime most Vaishnava. So he will actually redirect him towards to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, if actually that person is attached to Lord Shiva.
Prabhuji, one question from chat box, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
We heard that Prahlad Maharaj was a Brahmin boy in his previous life, and he unknowingly fasted on Narasimha Chaturdasi. So does it mean that Narasimha Dev he appeared previously also?
Yeah, Avatara hai Jagrahe, the third canto. Yeah, there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which will say that, which says that Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam, the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are eternally existing. It is not that the Lord did not exist sometime before and he began to existing from now. So that is actually in one way limiting the Lord. How we can understand this way is the Lord's pastimes keep on happening in every now and then. So the incarnations of the Lord appears in different forms in different millenniums at different times, but the forms of the Lord are eternally existing. Like
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have one question.
Did it answer your question? Just a second. Did it answer your question?
Oh, sorry,
Yes,
I didn't
Prabhuji.
hear it.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please go on, Mataji. Someone was asking a question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, I read Salted Bread recently, and in that I saw Russian devotees were really tortured by the officials, police officials. And we see here Prahlad was always protected when Hiranyakashipu was torturing in the same way, like he was trying to kill him. Even those devotees had to go to them. They had to paint those things. They had to suffer. They had to face those all things. Why didn't Krishna help them in those times? Why didn't he protect them? Why should they suffer like that? And that was my question.
Actually, this kind of questions are asked every now and then. Due to Corona, so many devotees have sacrificed their lives. All these things we hear. So actually, I am not such an experienced devotee to answer that, but I can throw my understanding that maybe some of the speakers can throw their light on this. My understanding is we cannot understand the plan of the Lord. That is the immediate answer I can think of.
Can you repeat the question, Mataji?
No, she is asking, in the salted bread, many devotees have given up their life because of the oppression from the KGB. But here the Lord has protected Prahlad Maharaj. How we can understand? So that is
okay. So here, Mataji, first thing we must understand is that the more one is advanced in devotional service, the more one will be under the direct protection of the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashrita. So the more one is advanced in devotional service, the more one will be under personal protection of the Supreme Lord, which means the more one is advanced in devotional service, the more one will be a part of the personal plan of the Supreme Lord. That plan may be anything. That plan may be that the Lord wants to give a better destination to the devotee to serve, or some other destination for the devotee to serve. So it doesn't mean that just because the devotee loses his life, Lord is not protecting him. Right? It doesn't mean that way at all. So for example, we have seen during this corona period also, many people have died. And this question was asked in the first session also, in the first days also, that why even devotees are losing their lives. We don't know the plan of the Lord actually, and it doesn't matter actually, because anyway we all have to leave our body one day. Whether we are leaving it today, we may leave it today, or we may leave it after tomorrow, or we may leave it after a few days. But the most important thing to understand is that how much we are surrendered to the Lord, and how much we are actually under the personal protection of the Lord. The personal protection of the Lord will be available to the person who is increasingly putting his endeavor towards serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Lord may sometimes desire that a particular devotee, it is enough for him to be in this body, I will give him some other destination. Maybe his service is required somewhere else. So we cannot ascertain that Lord is protecting only few devotees and he is not protecting the others. Only thing we must know that is death is anyway inevitable in this material world. This is Martya Loka. Only thing we must really give importance to is how much we are actually putting our steps towards the Supreme Lord. That's it. And then it is up to the Lord whether he wants us to stay in this body or whether he wants us to go to some other destination to serve somewhere else. It is completely up to the Lord. I hope this clarifies your question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. One question I had since so many days. I wanted to know why Krishna's name was Chaitanya. When he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does Chaitanya mean? Actually, why is it Chaitanya?
We can answer this question through WhatsApp in the link, Mataji. Sorry, in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, Prabhuji.
We are already past time today.
Okay.
But we will definitely take this question and we will address.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay.
Shamsundar Prabhu, sorry, you wanted to say something? Did I interrupt you?
I think it was good. Means answer.
Is that okay, Prabhu? Shamsundar Prabhu?
Yes. And anything else?
Prabhuji, I had a question, Hare Krishna. So it is being said that we shouldn't disobey our parents' advice and all. And if any kind, I mean, in future, if we are facing some kind of situation to choose between following the Guru's advice and parents' advice, which is, I mean, which are both are opposite, then what we should do? What should be our preference and all?
It depends upon your commitment to either of them. What is the proportion to which you are surrendered to the devotional service, and what is the proportion to which you are surrendered to the materialistic way of life?
I mean, if we are choosing either of any advice, then it will be offense to the another one, no? If we are choosing to follow the Guru's advice, then it will be an offense towards our parents. If we are following the parents' advice, then it will be an offense towards our Guru. So in such situation,
offense is the thing when it comes to the breach of etiquette. So whenever you are trying to please for example, you say that when you are trying to follow devotional service, your parents oppose, for example. You may not disrespect your parents. You may remain very respectful to your parents, but you remain very strong in your determination to execute devotional service. So if we are strong enough and we are prayerful enough and we are determined enough to execute devotional service, there is no impediment in this whole creation which can ever deter anyone from executing devotional service, and Prahlad is the classic example of that. And nobody in this world, our parents are not so much like the demons of the class Hiranyakashipu. Our parents will not come and devise means to kill us through various means. Prahlad had been put into the torture into 1,000-fold than we can ever imagine of. So in that way, we definitely can respect our parents, but we may not heed to their advice in order if that their instructions appear to be contrary to the execution of devotional service. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
And if it comes to remain an obligation, when we are actually surrendered to the Supreme Lord, the scriptures say, Devarshi Bhuta Apta Nrinam Pitrunam Nakinkaro Nayam Rinicharajan Sarvatmanaya Saranam Saranyam Gato Mukundam Parihrutya Kartum. We are obligated to the Devas, the demigods, Rishis, Bhuta, the living entities, and many classes of living beings in this world, because we have taken birth in this world. And to our parents, and also not, what to speak of parents, we are even indebted to our relatives and our teachers, everyone. But if we take up to the devotional service of the Lord wholeheartedly, and we are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, Sarvatmanaya Saranam Saranyam Gato Mukundam. If we tightly hold the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, in our heart, then all these obligations are taken care of. We need not follow all the obligations. But the important point is Gato Mukundam Parihrutya Kartum. Sarvatmanaya Saranam Saranyam. We have to wholeheartedly surrender to the Supreme Lord. Then only this will take effect. But if we are halfway here, halfway there, then we have to take the results halfway here, halfway there.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you please post this, whatever you told read just now, these verses and
Yes.
in group, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Definitely. We'll post. Kranti Prabhu, please post. Devarshi Bhuta Aptandana.
Okay, bro.
Anything else? Someone has posted here. Anuradha Mataji has this Chaitanya, meaning of Chaitanya.
And Prabhuji, actually, Advaita means actually it is related to this Mayavada philosophy, no? Advaita philosophy. Then why Advaita Acharya got that name Advaita?
Actually, Advaita does not mean Mayavada. Mayavada is Mayavada and Advaita is Advaita. Advaita, the Sanskrit word, means not two. Dvaita. Dvaita means dual. Not dual. Advaita means not dual. So Advaita, the one aspect of the Lord is Advaita. Brahma Samhita says Advaita Achyutam Anadimananta Rupam. The Lord is non-dual. He is the non-dual force behind the universe. His form is non-dual. But the way it is interpreted by different class of people is what is being rejected. The Mayavada school takes the aspect of Advaita to establish that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are one and the same. We also say that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are one and the same in quality, but not quantity. The Lord is Vibhu and we are Anu. So like that. So Advaita in itself is not wrong.
Prabhuji, what does it mean? Because Advaita Acharya, it is said he is both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu's combined form. but then it will become to know how is it.
See, more on this on a technical level can be discussed in the in the next subsequent sessions, which is not to this session. But one thing I could tell you is he is the incarnation of the what you said, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu combined, right? Yes. So he is playing the part of a devotee, and as Mahavishnu, he is the caretaker of the living entities. As the caretaker of the living entities, he actually invited Lord Krishna to deliver all the fallen souls. And as a devotee, he is teaching people how to follow devotional service. And Lord Shiva is also considered the immediate father of the living entities, and Mother Parvati is considered to be mother. So in one aspect, but that seed is coming from Lord Vishnu. Yes, Shambhutama vitatha samupaiti karya. So when the Lord glances, Lord Mahavishnu glances on the universe when it before the creation had happened, along with the glance, Lord Shambhu, that glance is considered to be Shambhu. So in one sense, Lord Shiva is a very tricky tattva to understand. He is Lord Vishnu in one aspect, and he is not. Just like the milk is made from, the curd is made from milk, but at the same time it is not milk, same as milk, but the ingredient from which the curd has come is milk. So milk can turn into curd, but curd cannot be turned into milk. So when for the purpose of material world, the annihilation and to actually reproduce the living entities, not to reproduce. When the Vishnu touches this material world, he becomes Shiva. So in that sense.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
We are over past now. We can close.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.